Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the Canyon. Welcome back to another installment of Wheelin' Wednesday. It might not be everybody's favorite, but it's kind of my favorite. So here we are again. We are, of course, back at Mavericks for the penultimate time. There's never enough opportunities in life or in your day-to-day to use the word penultimate. But here we are. The next to the last Crawlympic running of Mavericks, and at the same time, the last official running of Mavericks. This is week 11. This is the final group, the All-Z group. We will get to the All-Z group in a moment. Those who are active followers of Mavericks and Wheelin' Wednesday and Crawlympics 2024, I think will note that what you see here was not here. That was not there. Some rock has been added to the course to kind of take away that corner, omit that corner. You might also notice that the stack, the hearty stack O Krispy Kremes, has gotten slightly taller. We've also stained, there's a big over smudge on the pipe there. We've stained the base of the turnstile. We've reinforced the dirt on the turnstile again. We've painted the hoop that goes over the entry to the skewers. But that is all what they in the industry would call burying the lead, because that has nothing to do with why we're on this end over here before we do rig intros. And that is this. We'll get a little bit of hey everybody. We'll get a little bit of tripod leg in there. The teeter. The teeter did not survive week 10. The Vanimal was the one that broke the end of it finally. And ladies and gentlemen, do you know what dry rot is? The teeter fell apart. The teeter has an arch over the top of it now because it has to. The vertical members of the teeter formerly extended about 2 inches above where the, let's call it the axle, the pivot rod. They went just above the axle. And those vertical members, which were made out of recycled pressure-treated lumber, were cracked all the way top to bottom. They basically came apart due to the stunning forces that the teeter undergoes when it slams into the ground. So, carried over from, that was indeed iteration 2 of the teeter. So this is iteration 3. We have been calling it only semi-ingest T-Torx because I got to discover GRK RSS fasteners, which are what are holding most of it together. So Torx, if you're familiar with the Torx bit, some people love them, some people hate them. There's a different relationship. The structure that stands before you is assembled with fasteners using T30, T25, T20, and T15. It's all Torx. It's all Torx all the time. There's nothing but Torx in the T-Torx. Technically, T-Torx version 3.0. It weighs well over 100 pounds, and yet still, and you will see this in its running. Do you see the 2 massive chunks of concrete holding that end down? And it is staked to the ground with 12-inch stakes. It would still lift itself off the ground. So the teeter basically tore itself apart before, because when we built it, there was never the idea, oh, you know what? Let's drive over this thing 200 times in fairly rapid succession. So it's 2x4s and 4x4s, all the Torx fasteners you can imagine. We left the top tall to help introduce some stability. The deck, the most important part, T-Torx's deck, are 2 metal IKEA shelves, and then screwed to the top of those shelves is, you know, if you've ever had to work a dishwashing job, it's the mat that's under your feet. It is grippy, it is heavy. There is a single 3-pound weight screwed to one end of it. The hole is perfectly centered. We don't know. This thing has not been... Do you see any tire marks on T-Torx? I do not. We don't know how happy, glad, mad, or sad T-Torx is going to be. Is it going to be hard for rigs to set it down? Is it going to throw rigs off the end? We used Rainbird, the lightest guy we've got, in the hopes of setting the balance on the T-Torx. We're going to find out today if we got that balance. 2 full Tallboy Rust-Oleum cans of red oxide primer on there to help protect him from the weather, which his brother didn't have. And did I mention, and did I forget, do you see those 2 little triangles, which are like shelf brackets? There's 2 on either side. Those are the only remaining parts of Teeter version 2.0. Everything else had to be replaced. It was all just dry rotted to nothing. The axle, because we made him wider, he is at the maximum width of the lane. That axle is the axle from my garden trailer. I didn't steal my garden trailer's axle. I had bought flat-free tires for it, and it needed a longer axle, so that axle just been sitting in a bin just waiting. And if you can just see, can I zoom? If you can just see the circle around it, it has Delrin, massive Delrin hat bushings, 2-inch Delrin turned to an inch and a half, with then the 3/4 inch bore for the axle. So it's almost like he's on bearings. He should be a tough boy. Let's get to the rig thing before this takes an hour. I mean, it is the final competitors week. It's Z week, but we got to see who's in it. So we almost got an all J Concepts week. We just missed it with the gentleman on the end because we needed some small tires for him. Zarana, ZoBaZu, Zoidberg, and Zombie. First things first, yes, let's mention Zombie's paint job is not finished. That's why he's still sporting window masks. Will this be ultimately damaging in the long run? I don't think that we're going to have too much brutality today. We've got some what I would call some builds. We've got some build level stuff. We've got some stuff that's more along the lines of assembly. We've got 2 Zokus. We've got 1 custom chassis. We've got 1 Amazon chassis. We are all LCG and we are all Outrunners. So if we had 1 more set of J Concepts tires, it would be all LCG J Concepts Outrunners. We almost got there. So let's get to the breakdown, starting in, as we do, in alphabetical order with Zarana. Zarana was, I would like to say that she was built out of the Trucks of Fortune, but there's virtually nothing remaining from what came in the Trucks of Fortune except for the gearbox and the alloy axle housings that were also in the box. It was a Falcon Phoenix. See how much she looks like a Falcon Phoenix? She is an NSDRC RS 700 V2 servo duties, Flash Hobby 1227s, which are kind of the gold standard in my mind for shift and overdrive duties. Of course, the clear Vanquish axle housings, Rhino V80, and the motor is a KV that I can't recall. It's either a 1900 or the 2340 in the S20 variety, because she is stubby kit and BTA. J Concepts Tusks on YZZR inserts. That is a CJ7 body bought over a long period of time to get all the pieces together, because you know what? Putting that body together is expensive. DravTech shocks, all fancy stuff. She doesn't, and I did say Zoku LCG. She doesn't have any stuff that's not fancy. She's expensive. Right beside her is ZoBaZu, who has a wonderful name. He is a Zoku base camp fitted with a Zool. ZoBaZu. That is carbon Zoku chassis for the axial base camp, fitted with, of course, the best gearbox, in my estimation, that Axial has ever made, the LCXU with dig. It has, like, the best dig engagement that there is. It's so good. The kit axles from the base camp kit, AR45 straights, NSDRC RS500B, handling steering duties. I realize now that is not the optimal servo for him, because he is fitted with a 2000 kV Three Brothers Yellow Jacket, which is powered by a Rhino V40. Couldn't remember if he was a 40 or an 80. A Rhino V40, and that really, the V40 really requires a direct power servo, but the RS500 is much more suited to 4S. maybe it was the only servo we had. He needs a servo change. He needs a more 3S oriented servo, but he will be fine. I would love to say that he is also fitted with a Flash Hobby 1227 for dig duties. So we got dig there and dig there, but he might not be. You might be able to see it on the carousel. J Concepts hunks on Canyon Custom Soft inserts all around. He's an absolute performer, that guy. Speaking of absolute performers, to his left, our right, Zoidberg, who I want to have high hopes, but the big guys, we saw how RoboKitty did on here. We will see how Zoidberg does here. Born as a Capra, I would honestly say nothing remains of the Capra from which Zoidberg sprung. And I mean none of it. There's nothing left. He's just a Canyon build at this point. Super shafty Capra axle housings, 4-wheel steer, 575 ruptures just on their regular foams. Bunch of brass in there, stretched to about a 13.5-inch wheelbase so that he can run a J Concepts bar short course body. 2-low gearbox with a 900 kV Flash Hobby drone motor powered once again by a Rhino V40 dual RS 500Bs, 1 at each end. He is a dedicated 4S rig because it's tough not to be a 4S rig when you're running 2 RS 500s and a 900 kV motor. Even at that tire height, he is not blisteringly fast. He relies on the 4-wheel steer. He has gone through so many permutations, so many different chassis. This is kind of where we landed at now. And you know what he is? They're either the 110s or 120 Desert Lizards. He is a rock crawler. He runs fully full droop. He is not suited to this. He is very wide. I didn't even check to see if he can fit through the arch in the T-Torques, but we're going to find out real soon. And he's a rock crawler. Of the 4 that sit before you, he is the rock crawleriest. And honestly, I just kind of hope for the best. Closing out today's group and closing out the competitive group, his body is not finished paint. I was having my kid help me zombie up the theme. It's got bite marks on it. It's got bite marks on it. Is the zombie built from is it the Kuwu? RC Huiwao Amazon chassis. F10 axles, and then it is called Zombie because he is fitted almost entirely with componentry on the inside that has died to some level or another. An OMG 80 kg servo handles steering duties. Something happened to that thing on the servo tester. It made a bunch of loud snapping and popping noises. It's now very gravelly and crunchy in operation, but it still seems to work. His motor is a 2000 kV Three Brothers Yellow Jacket, but a much older version than the Yellow Jacket that is in ZoBaZu. And it was overheated in an Associate's TRX4 to the point where you could not physically touch the motor. Like it made the smell, and some of the pixies might have gotten out, but it still appears to work. It's fitted with a Holmes Crawlmaster V3, which glitched itself almost into self-immolation when first set up in the vehicle that it was intended for, a V1B bugger, and I could not get it to work. So we replaced that with a Rhino V40 in another vehicle. This sat in a drawer for months and months and months, and then I thought, well, let's try it. Let's see if we can find a combo that it'll work with. And it managed to work with this. Not shown in frame anywhere, but the radio for Zombie is a semi-zombie radio itself, an RC4GS, that I had attempted to set up for 4-wheel steer by replacing the potentiometer where the VR knob is, and yeah, I ruined that. So that part is just gone with a wire hanging out of it. So it's got a Zombie radio, a Zombie speed control, a Zombie motor, and a Zombie servo. Might as well throw a Zombie fighting body on it. It's got some bullet holes in it there. Axial ripsaws on, I think they are just J Concepts Class 1 inserts because they kind of fit. Probably doesn't have enough weight added, has not had adequate tuning, his body isn't finished painting, but he's a goer and we're a goer, and filming does indeed have something of a schedule. So we're going to line them up. Everybody gets 5 minutes. And the most important part of the day, which no one would notice unless I pointed it out, ladies and gentlemen, while randomly browsing Facebook, just scrolling down, an ad popped up on the side for a Canon M50, which is what you're looking through right now. Not this one. It's sitting over there. Camera 3 is now Canon. Remember when I spoke to the universe? I mean, I had to spend my own money, but the universe did provide. The Canon M50 and M200 series, all of the M series are discontinued. We've got 3 Canon cameras. You don't understand what this means to me. You don't understand. This is gonna cut 45 minutes off of my editing time because I'm not gonna have to resync audio. I'm not gonna have to futz with color balance in every single clip. I have 3 matching cameras, everybody. No matter what happens, today is already a good day. Now I'm not gonna do no fibbing. I got a late start today. We got out later today than we had hoped, but it should be okay. It's still like, it's like in the 60s. Summer's softening up on us a little. ZoBaZu, Zarana, ZoBaZu, we've got steer angle today. Steer angle. F10 portal, F10 straight, AR-45, and, well, 4-wheel steer, if we can see if we can get it activated. We should see decent. We should see decent times today. And Zarana is up first. Sometimes it's a benefit, sometimes it's not. I don't think the course is going to break today. I think T-Torx 3.0 is a strong lad, and we're going to find out if it actually works. Zarana is going to set out right about now. Oh, she is zoomy. The tightness of the steering, yeah. Okay. Absolutely no problem. She's got that same kind of bounce that I felt with Phoenix, but that bounce didn't hurt Phoenix, as we saw. She is super long travel. Her steer angle is so sharp. This is the mullet all over again. Very grip. First one up. Oh, look at that. Oh, it is kind of, and it's resetting. Yay! I hope the camera isolated that thing slamming into the ground. Okay, the camera 1 is right up against the rail. So if we fall off today, we're gonna knock camera 1 over. We'll put a little more spicy pepper on lap 2. Yeah, she gets some front end hop there. I don't know what that is. Well, I mean, I kind of do know what it is. It's the stuff that's not suited to this, is what that is. She runs a very soft spring. That's a pretty good entry. She runs a very soft spring. So with the damping level that's there, yeah. She just pulled a wheelie. It doesn't have control. And by that, I mean, it's not that it's underdamped and it's bouncy. I mean, it's sitting all the way down on the stops, basically. So when the front end hops, it's the whole axle and everything all popping up in the air at the same time. I think a lot of it is energy return from the 3D printed insert. Yeah, whenever she puts both wheels into something at the same time, she feels very clean. I have no way of judging the speed. Okay, that's gonna take a few seconds off, but right through there, wow. Her long travel, she is through there and then through this little narrow slot like nothing. Uh-oh. Okay, so the teeter may be reborn, but he's still mean. He's got more tractional surface, certainly, but it still feels just as sketchy as it did before when it was rotten wood. We did not beat the rising sun.
So I probably will have to mess with, not color balance, but lighting levels. She's all the way off. She's under the tripod. She's back on the course. Phoenix did well. And got to see some slipper clutch action there. Yeah, that bounciness. And I thought Phoenix wasn't fast. She doesn't get hung up. She takes that turn. So not quite the violence of sharpness that the Phoenix had, but she does feel like she has an absolute steering surplus. And because she's far longer travel than he is, she could be set up to do this. She's just not set up to do this. Long travel is working, across the back. We're gonna make it around again, which means she's putting up something decent. It's, you know, do I think anyone can get in reach? And here's the bump. Oh, found a little slot. Saving that hop is gonna save a little fraction there. Is anybody gonna approach Wolverine? Wolverine felt like he glided through this. She has very nearly as much steering as Mullet, but controllable. That was one of the better entrances to the teeter that we've seen. Yeah, the teeter is a kindler, gentler teeter. Every time Jake sees some sort of course modification happen and then a fast time get put up, he just does that. Like the side eye face where he's like, I don't like that. I don't like that at all. The timer went off just as she was coming around the corner. Did I mention that I treated the parking bench, the start-finish bench, truck bed liner in a can? It occurred to me just a moment ago, and again, we're going to have that ton of steering angle again. It occurred to me that the lineup today goes portal straight, portal straight. Well, what do you think about that? Straight axles have been some of the fastest up until, you know, our good boy Wolverine. ZoBaZu here. He is ready to go forward motor mount on that LCXU. It would have shown on the spinner anyway. We hit the timer. Pew! Want to see what the bounce and hop looks like. He's on TRX 4 shocks, on 10mm springs. I'm using way more throttle. Oh, glided. He glided through the skewers and then got absolutely hung up. Okay? It's first lap, dude. You're just feeling it out. Ooh, he's getting bullied a little bit. Zarana has got, oh, I would say 1.5 pounds on him, if not more. Yeah, he does not have quite the insane amount of steering that she does. But, oh. Uh-oh. Okay, you gotta lock it in, brother. He's got to hang wheels all the way off the front. And I think Zombie's lighter than he is. Okay, ZoBaZu could do well. He could do well. His steering is responsive enough. He doesn't have the turn-in that she's got. But he does have, well, she has it as well, but he's got dig to use. She didn't have to use it once. There was no point on this course where she got, and you saw it here first. He had enough torque to completely roll himself over backwards. That's, every week is a new thing. That was a new thing for sure. Little angry Lexan through there. He is happiest right at a very particular level of throttle out here. Then through here, I'm using dig all the way on. Yeah. His hunky dig is good. Oh no. Okay, ZoBaZu's having a rough day. The teeter is not helping him. If he drops his, he has to take it so like a precision strike. He's got to drop the front wheels off to get it to actuate, but then if he doesn't back himself back on, the teeter just demolishes him on the drop. So the teeter is a different level of vicious now. Try that inside. Yeah, didn't get it hung. Okay, knocked a big old rock over. You got to put up one decent one. I mean, there's like, I call it a 106, right? You just got to try to put one lap down faster than a 106, which is middle of the pack. I was looking at the leaderboard after the first 40. Nope. Down. There we go. That's going to hurt him. It's going to hurt him. And if we take out those first two guys, if we ignore Wolverine and Jake, the following 10 fall in a span of like, it's under 4 seconds between 3rd and like 12th. Then there's a big clump right in the middle of all the guys that are like 106, 107. He rides so light. He's just getting punished around. He does not like speed. I feel like I'm getting a lot of energy return. This is his real... Oh, that's perfect. Perfect placement, dude. If he can get the teeter to set, he comes off the teeter as well as anybody. His suspension looks great. Again, Trex's GTS. Gets a little bit of hop through some sections, but otherwise, little wide there. Just not the same amount of steer angle in an AR-45 as there is in an F-10. Also, we have our sole chassis-mounted steering. Get through slow. All right, timer's expiring right now, and he's already, yep, okay, all right. That stuck was pretty much a guarantee that he had to run that clean for it to be anything, and he did not. But what it really comes down to is like who's best suited to this. And I honestly, of this group, this is a group of rock crawlers. Like Zarana looked pretty composed through it, but no one here is really set up for this. And perhaps Zoidberg least of it. He's got the weight, yes, but he's big and running four-wheel steer through this. I mean, we're getting, you know what? Let's just see how it goes. And remember, full droop. So he's probably going to act pretty bouncy. He's got, oh, or not. Okay. Is he just going to bully his way through like Wolverine? I mean, there are some similarities. Big tires, capra portals. Okay, the only thing that can stop him is, oh, just showing off now. And yeah, fits no problem. How close do we have to get to? Not close. Did a little, if I was quicker on the four-wheel steer. But yeah, Wolverine is big tires, capra portals. Big tires and capra portals is not a bad combo out here. He's got, there's like, does anyone else hear like a raspiness? There it was. That raspiness could be a number of things. In order to get a 2-low to fit in there, we had to cut the chassis, basically, clock the entire gearbox on more than one axis. So it could actually be the Outrunner rubbing on the chassis. It's not necessarily a gear problem. Could also be a gear problem. He feels solid. I don't know if he feels fast. He's got almost, we've encountered a couple moments coming through here where I feel almost like he has too much traction. Not right here. But I got stuck on a tree there for a moment. He does not sound good. I'm hoping that that's just the motor rubbing on the chassis, because that doesn't sound great at all. No problem. Okay, on the first try through, he got over the Krispy Kremes with no issue whatsoever. Yeah, this is a mental issue. If we used mix, if we had four-wheel steer mix engaged just to give me like 20% rear steer, I think we would be seeing an improvement here. But you might say, well, why didn't you do that? Well, none of the other four-wheel steer rigs got that benefit. Yeah, he feels very similar to RoboKitty. Big tire, big width, can mash through, but feels like because of that energy return, because of that poppiness, cannot use as much throttle. Surprisingly, and by surprisingly we're being as sarcastic as possible, a vehicle that has to use or can use more throttle does better than one that can't use a lot of throttle. Imagine how that works. Yeah, his four-wheel steer gets him so tight that he could, that was off the side, he could be running this very quickly. But this is almost like a qualifier because it doesn't count really towards overall Crawlympics standings. Yeah, so this is kind of like the trials. This is Crawlympics trials because we want to see where we're going to group guys. Yeah, he'll get one more through. I don't know what happened right there. Yeah, all the clearance, a little too much bouncy, and because he's so long, he really does rely on four-wheel steer. And four-wheel steer out here, like that was all the way off the course and then right back on. This is, I mean, and it is 100% what it is. There is one guy, and he's driving 40 vehicles, and there are 4 times a week where he has to rapid switch from one vehicle to another. And I know, I don't want it to feel like it's understated. It's obvious, but I don't want to understate it. Radically different. I mean, it's the hardest part of this whole affair is setting one controller down, picking up another, and trying to maintain any level of consistency. It's just sometimes the way the calendar works. Zombie has not been driven beyond the ghost ride. His body is not finished painted, but we're here at the end, and he's got to go right now. He's also on little tires, and I think Ironsides is the only little tire guy, and I think he's in 12th. So nobody on smaller than a class 2 has finished above 12th, I think, if memory serves. And we will see how it goes. I suspect that, like, he's zippy. He's zippy. Up through here. Nice. Okay, hold on. He's pretty long for his tire size. That wasn't too bad. Slid through there nicely. He feels agile. I worry, though. I worry about that agility. Because we've got to actuate the teeter. He has just enough steering to swing that. Coming in through here. Again, F10s. We got a lap 1 is where we figure out where our approach line is. Just hang them, dude. Okay. All right, that's one way to do it. All right. Hopefully nothing fell off. Okay, Zombie is not heavy enough to actuate the teeter. That's good. That's going to hurt his time, guys. That's going to hurt his time. A lot of things are going to hurt his time. Again, as I said, rock crawlers. This is really tough for him. So apparently the teeter has about a 5.5 pound. Oh, that's servo. If you're under about 5.5 pounds, it can be tough. Okay, we're just gonna do this. Give him a little kick advantage. I mean, it's not really. It's like an extra 2 seconds on the teeter. So do some mental extrapolation. When we see the final board times, like he feels proper brisk through this whole first part. There have been times when he's made it quite like that. Quite cleanly through the skewers, clean through here. Zombie is honestly pretty good at this. But can he make up for the fact that he can't trigger the teeter? We got it to set down with Rainbird. Whoa! Now that counts, man. That's a valid strat. If you can survive it. Yeah, I don't know if it will translate. I can never tell. But I definitely feel like I've had to put a pep in my step to keep up with Zombie. Oh, his first. Oh, that was bad. Small tires. The big tires will just float. If your tire is small enough, it can fall in the gaps. I was like, no, we don't have to worry about putting any extra patina on the body. We got to figure out, there has to be a weight we can add. He just needs enough. Oh, it's grams. We need a quick attach weight that we can attach to the front of the teeter, which will help bring it down for the 5-pounders. But everybody runs what they run. He just feels so quick. I don't know if it's loosey-goosiness. I don't know if it's the size. I don't know if it's his weight. I don't know what it is. But he feels quicker than everybody else today. It might not show in the scores. Times. Right through there. I'm gonna try to help you out here. You got some upside down stuck stuff, guy. But we're gonna try to help you here. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Bring it around. I think he's better than a 106. Even with Oh, and hangs on. Even with the having to put a foot under the teeter action, I feel like he did pretty okay. Timer is expiring. Yeah, I think Zombie did all right.
So let me tell you, something of a surprising group, particularly Zombie there at the end. Zombie could do really well at this. I think Jake's fears are allayed in that the teeter is new and undoubtedly improved. The teeter should actually last now, but the teeter is very nearly as mean as it ever was. And because it's so grippy on the top deck, when there are mistakes made on entry, they get to pay for those mistakes. So if you were to come to me, if you were to come to me and you were to say, who is the fastest? I have no idea. Close to the point where I genuinely, I would say Zarana may be the fastest of the four if I had to pick a fastest, but I think this is going to be another one of those weeks where we get it real close, where we get some real close competition between the four. But I think of the four that are sitting there, I think that on their best day, I don't think you catch Zombie. For how well he did on 4.3-inch axial ripsaws on straight axles is absolutely crazy. Zoidberg is, I don't know. They're going to be right there. I think that they're all kind of equally suited to this, which is to say, not. But I think Zombie is the one that would have the most ability. I think. If we're going to throw the speculation out there, and we have to, that's what we do here in the closing. I think that the making modifications to a course before the competition is over is not what we try to do, but it's where we ended up. We work with the time that we have available to us. All of the set in here, so all of the new stuff here at this point is the same as everything else. It's just hardened dirt. I have a metal bucket and I scoop up from a sifted pile of dirt, and one bucket of dirt is 2 little Corona, I think they call it a garden scoop, 2 garden scoops of Portland, and I mix it together and I get it to a consistency that works out okay. I mix it with a mortar mixer, and that's how all this was done. There was also repair done here where parts were breaking off. All this was sealed in. There were some little lizard holes that were sealed in up there. And we fixed this edge. There used to be a spot where you could drop a tire into that edge and then really just get mired. I think the teeter did well. I think the teeter needs a slight little bit of adjustment. There's a little bit of tweaking required. But other than that, the course is feeling pretty good. It will get some off-season modifications. Mavericks is definitely not in its finished form, much as like most every rig. There's no such thing as a rig being in its final form. They're constantly being adapted and evolved. The Krispy Kremes did their job. I stacked them when they were wet. So they are kind of smushy glued together. They can be knocked apart, and we'll see over time how many get knocked apart. But yeah, I would also, I'm planning to build this wall up. We'll glue that wall in, and we'll do another ridge across that wall. I just feel like the problem is, particularly when we're over at that T-junction right there, it's not a clearly enough defined, yeah, there's pipes, but you can go over the pipe, and that makes the pipe not work. So we want to get this thing more fleshed out and more filled in. That's after the water fill is built anyway. We're getting into a bunch of stuff. The teeter needs a tiny little bit of weight at the front. I'm going to have to figure out some sort of, like a quick insert. Ooh, quick insert gave me an idea. I might be able to use like an old air fitting, a quick disconnect air fitting, have one air fitting mounted at the bottom, and then I can just go click and click weight on it for when lightweight guys go over. Because like I said, just a 3-pound weight under the back of it was enough to have it reset, but there's not enough leverage for lightweight guys like the 5-pounders to overcome that 3-pound weight. We don't have to worry about it too much. We do have to worry about it a little because, okay, let me tell you about what's coming. So stage 2 is the real stuff. It is this stuff. There's the start. Way over there. You can just not see past that tree. And honestly, where that tree is, we get a little parallax on the lens here. These marks are 1 meter. So from there to there is a meter, 2 meters, 3 meters, 4 meters. I had grossly underestimated the length of Deadline. It is 29 meters long, which is just a hair over 95 feet. 95 feet 2 inches. So it is going to be broken down by meters. There are 29 meters. You have to make it all the way to the end for it to be a full one. We're not going to do times. We're not going to do any of that. It's just going to be who makes it the farthest. That's it. Because there are sections, oh, and also some repairs were done. You can still see a little wetness, but the big cracks that were forming around the trees. So Mavericks is done of competition. What comes up next week will depend on what my filming looks like. I'm trying to get my kid to swing a camera. Do we have time to get the filming in? So the fallback will be Visitor Week, and I think I have 4 picked out for Visitor Week. It would be the Enduro 12. It would be the Emo X2. Mostly just because I want to see the 2 of them parked side by side. It will be an H10 Optic, and it will be, I had a fourth. Oh, the Raptor. Probably the Raptor, the VS410 Amazon axled Raptor, maybe. We'll finalize the 4th if need be. Otherwise, if filming schedule works, it will be Group 1, Stage 2, which is Deadline. 29 meters of fury. Who can make it the farthest? And I think, I mean, we're gonna, and here's why. All right, hold on. I've got to do a test run with both the rigs and a rig or 2 and the kid to see. The kid's never swung a camera before. I don't really swing cameras either. I'm a tripod guy. This is not tripod suited. I have 3 cameras and it's 95 feet long. We can't cover 30-foot spans with 3 cameras, at least I don't think. So we got to get a test run. We're talking on this Wheel and Wednesday about next Wheel and Wednesday, and I don't know if we'll have time to get to it. So do you see what I'm saying? We're going to try to get it in there. Anyway, the times should have already been up. You find out. We don't know till the edit. I am honestly, for the first time, I'm looking forward to a Crawlympics edit because I have 3 identical cameras. 3 identical lenses. It's, ladies and gentlemen, this is an expensive dream come true. But I waste a lot of money on toy cars. I can waste a little bit of money on cameras. So you will find out based on the thumbnail next week whether we're at Stage 2 or we're doing the filler week with the visitor rigs at Mavericks. I would prefer to get straight into week 2, and then I can just put the visitor rigs on any other given day, but we find out when we find out. Instead, what I'll do is I'll take this opportunity to thank you so much for watching this one. Please do hit us up in the comments below with any questions, comments, or concerns. We look forward to seeing you into whatever we have coming up next. We hope that in between now and then, you one and all do your very best to have a good one, everybody. We will see you again here from the canyon. The group is ready to go back inside because I was wrong. As soon as the sun breached up above the top of that tree, it got real hot. So we will see you next time.